Hello everybody, I'm Ramses.
And I'm the Vesper.
And we're here for another edition of Vesper's Retro Reviews, our comic convention review. That's right, we just got back from Saturday, Huntington Comic and Toy Convention, August 10th, 2024. And we're going to give you the full review of just Saturday, and we'll explain why. It is a two-day convention, but we'll get into all the juicy details because we know that's what you're here for in our latest Comic-Con convention. So before we start,
please remember to like, comment, subscribe, and
ring that bell so we can bring you much more where this came from. Alright, day one and the only day for us.
August 10th, 2024. Well, we started off just like the last time we went, but that being said, we followed our old strategy of let's find free parking. Well, what happened when we got there? Remember those nice stickers from Plane 22 that said free parking Saturday and Sunday? Well, they've been scraped off all the things, so it was only free parking on Sunday. So we ended up in this nice little place right here. $3 event ticket parking. Oh well, trust me, we've been to a lot of conventions, and $3 is not bad to pay for the entire day. So, after parking it there, we came out into Pullman Square. They had all the street vendors. Walked by and found that they had different types of art, because every now and then, Huntington likes to decorate streets with like boats or trains. This year it's fish and wildlife.
Now, the stands aren't typical stuff. This is more artsy-fartsy stuff. Like, that's why it's sort of located outside of the arena itself. It's going to be more crafts. It's going to be, like, wood art. It's going to be little trinkets that you put in your house. Sort of catering to the convention crowd, but they sort of were catering to an older crowd, too. It's very weird how they do these stands.
So we walk down, and then we come and look at the arena itself, and we notice two big changes from the previous year. First change is this little thing up top here.
Here's what it used to look like in 2022, and here's what it looked like now in 2024. And it's kind of funny because the running joke is you never know what this arena is going to be called in this area. But since I've been here, this arena has had 4 or 5 different names already, and now this is the brand new name for this arena. I mean, you know how it is with hospitals. Hospitals are always being bought out and combined. So now the new combined name of the hospital network that owns this is the Marshall Health Network Arena. Yes, it rolls right off the tongue. What a wonderful name for an arena, isn't it?
It was a one-time Big Sandy Superstore arena.
Now, what's the second change?
See this? That was in 2022. Look at all those people down that street. Well, this is the street in 2024. Notice something different about it.
Yeah, insert crickets in the background because there's nobody here. Everybody's already inside. And we arrived at 10 o'clock, the same time that it was opening last time we went. It definitely was less of a turnout. There was not the huge rush. And we believe, we didn't go last year due to prior commitments, but we believe August is not a good time in this area to be doing a convention.
Some schools have started, and you know what? This might have been your kid's first week of school in this area. And you know what? They may be too tired to go this. Or should I say, the parents will be too tired to go to this.
The parents have to take them.
There wasn't nearly as much signage up about this.
No, very cheap. And this is a bad sign, and I did notice it right away. These windows were filled to the brim last time. They had signage all over the place. Now you see like 2 little signs here, go in here. They kind of held back on the expenses a little bit. I was a little disappointed. I was like, the exciting thing about going to a convention is dressing up the whole entire place. This is not an arena anymore. This is just for the convention. Let's see all the signage. Let's see all the pomp and circumstance. No, there was none of that at all.
After we go through the doors, we're greeted by the same metal detectors again.
It's kind of pointless, and I'm going to jump a little bit ahead here and say they sell gigantic real-life use sword replicas that you can cut someone's head off with, and we're not kidding. And they're worried about scissors and pocket knives and butter knives or whatever else. Yes, it's better to be safe, but this is Huntington Comic and Toy Convention. Are we really doing that? Yeah, they are. And they were very serious about it. They checked everyone's bags. They checked all the weapons. It was very silly. It's a very bad taste, but they've done it every year, so this is not a new thing.
Yeah, I don't mind them checking the bags and doing other things. There were plenty of police about, so it wasn't like you felt like you were in any threat whatsoever.
We got in, and the first thing we do is get the schedule, and that's always the fun thing. The bad thing about Inner Geek is they do not release schedules until like 2 days before the convention. If you want to plan early, too bad. You are not going to know this schedule.
You don't even know who your speakers are until 2 days before.
Everyone has their own reasons why they're going, but Q&A is a very, very important part. You have a lot of guests, and you know not all of them are speaking. Well, I want to know who's speaking. You really have to get better with this. You got to give it like at least 2 weeks ahead of time. Walk through the metal detector. The first thing we do is pick up a piece of paper. I'm like, oh, what is this white piece of paper, Vesper? And I was like, that's the schedule. And you might be wondering, why is Ramses reacting like this? Because Inner Geek used to give these wonderful black, glossy, double-sided papers for their schedules. One day was on one side, the other. They had their logo printed on it. It was beautiful. Now we get photocopies that someone printed on Microsoft Word very lazily with block letter text.
Since we're ranting on things that have changed as soon as you walk in, as you can see from our 2022 convention, there's this nice thing that says, "Welcome to Huntington Comic and Toy Convention." And then, well, you see
nothing. Absolutely nothing. Barely any signage on the outside. And no welcome to the conventions. Really, they couldn't even throw off an extra few little signs. They didn't save the sign from that year that they could throw up there?
for whatever reason, they just didn't use it. And it's kind of sad. But we move right on in to vendor area. And I'll tell you what, they stepped it up. They had Appa for their life-size model, which, if you've been to a lot of these conventions, you'll see the people who set them up. They're wonderful. What they did right was they had vendors of all shapes and sizes here. We complained at our last GalaxyCon that the vendors were just different flavors of the exact same type of thing. Here, there was a lot more variety, with the only thing that seemed to be a recurring theme, which might be a problem in future conventions, is the amount of 3D printed materials that they're overpricing.
That is the problem. We're going to mention all the other stuff, but we're going to start with that because I want you guys to be aware this is now going to be the new fad, I guess is the right word. Ooh, we all got to get in on the latest money-making scheme. And it's not really a scheme. You get a good product. But this is what every vendor is going to have now. 3D printed art of all shapes and sizes, all in creatures and famous pop culture characters, designs. And they're even going to have the printer right there showing you how they do it. This is going to be the new thing. So if you want like a squiggly dragon, $25. If you want a little character that looks kind of like a pop figure, $10. 3D art, 3D art, 3D art. And I'm not saying good or bad. I'm just saying be ready. That is what's going to be taking over a lot of these conventions.
Absolutely, until the interest dies down.
But now I'll talk about the other varieties of vendors that were there. And I was very happy with this. Huntington has been known to have either very good or very eh. This year was very good. It was actually better than GalaxyCon's vendors. You know, there was a lot of good pop culture stuff. They had pictures, they had artists all over the place, anime stuff, they had retro toy vendors, which I thought was great. Way overpriced, I didn't buy anything, but the collections were amazing. You gotta really come with your wallet if you're gonna be buying here. The fun is buying these at a convention, but unfortunately all these retro dealers are really taking advantage of it. The video games were recently priced for being at a convention. They were like eBay prices, maybe a little more. The point is, look at all the variety. If you're looking for something in particular, they had it. Where, oh, if you want to put different seasonings on your food, this guy created all different interesting exotic type of creations that you could try right there. It was $6 a pouch for a very tiny pouch, so not really worth it.
It'd be worth it for a party.
Right. They had great vendors here, and that's what we're going to give the props to. We got here at 10 o'clock, and we just walked the floors until about 12 o'clock when it was time for lunch. Vendors were more than acceptable here, and we wouldn't even gone back Sunday if we didn't just buy everything we needed. We actually got everything we needed this day.
One thing I highly recommend for those new to conventions you're watching this, I hate to say it, don't expect good deals on Sundays. Some do. If you get there early on a Friday or a Saturday, buy it then and there because they will sell out quickly. After that, we always like to go down and see who's there. They have the guest list, but you never know because there are cancellations and they are absolutely horrible about mentioning when somebody's canceled. We did a little walkthrough and take a look at this footage. We just wanted you to see who was here. The front half of the arena for vendors and the last quarter, I'd say, for the guests.
Yes, and Vespor was doing a great job, and we were not stopping. We were walking very quickly. Me and Vespor were just talking, oh, here's that guy, here's that gal, here's this one. And you have to remember, this is Inner Geek's hill to die on, and they're going to keep dying on this hill, and I'm going to keep calling them out on it. And here we go again. Not with the, you can't take pictures of our guests nonsense, all right? This is your hill to die on. Other conventions don't do this. This convention, though, run by Inner Geek, oh, no. So, by the way, we already finished our walk around, and I'm using the footage here. Here it is, Inner Geek. Here's the footage. All your guests. All right, here it is. Oh no, we have footage of celebrities who are seen everywhere. You didn't make your $100 on us taking a picture with them, sorry. She comes up to us, please stop taking a picture of our guest. And we're like, oh, we're sorry, yeah, we're just doing it for our show here. We're giving you guys, you know, a review of the, well, if you want to do it, you can pay for a picture later. We'll have pictures with our guest later if you want to do that. And we're like, oh, well, thank you for the information. You know, I was very nice to her, by the way. I didn't do anything mean. already filmed everything, so we're like, okay, don't worry, we won't anymore. And we didn't film anymore. We took many pictures, but that's Inner Geeks HELLUVA. And just realize if you go to Lexington or Huntington's conventions, you cannot use video footage anywhere because they're very anal about it, and they think that they're losing money somehow. Because now that I can't get video footage, I better pay $125 so I can get that picture with Alex Oregon. Yes, if I didn't film it, oh boy, you guys lost your money because I filmed something.
A lot of the guests want charge for selfies. They think that we're taking pictures of the guests with them getting signed. And I do want to point something out. From the distance we were at and at the speed we were moving at, I think it's a little obvious we weren't taking pictures.
And we were wearing our logos. If you ever want to look for us at a convention, we're going to be wearing our logos and our names on our shirts. We had our logos on, and the woman very clearly saw that, but she was in her corporate form. You can't film, and you have to pay for it. So whatever. That's it. But I just want you guys to realize they're still anal about it. Even 3 years later, they have not changed their policy, and shame on them, but that's fine. I will always get the word out on this. I will never hide the fact when a company is taking advantage of people that pay their hard-earned money, that they're going to be stopped from filming a live event that's supposed to be something celebrated by everybody and supposed to be fun. It's not just about money. But unfortunately, to this company, it is about money, and we're going to mention why it's about money. Let's see all the wonderful cuts they made this year as we get on a review. Please continue with it.
After we did that, went back to where we remembered the panels being. Guess what? They were there.
Yes.
However, they did a little bit of change here, as you can see. They actually put up dividers in this room and only used the front half of the entire thing.
Again, it means cheap, because remember, this is how a convention works. Inner Geek does not own the building. They are renting out space and time to use it. So a smaller room is a smaller fee paid. Doesn't that make sense? That's how math works. You use less space, you pay less money. So they cut it in half. Rooms did not fill up at any point, so they made the right move. But you definitely felt very cramped now. When you had the big crowd in here, you felt like you were really squeezed in here.
Another thing they changed was they used to have tables with the skirts where people were sat. Well, they changed it. They went to more of the fancier Comic-Con look of, oh look, we're just going to have chairs and couches.
Good idea in principle, but bad execution. One of the guests complained how uncomfortable it was. The couch is now so low to the ground where all the chairs are the same level with it. All you see are heads. At least the table, you were raised up. You were a chair on a platform. Now you're a couch sunk in. You are below the level. So yeah, if you want to use this, that's fine, but you got to raise that platform up another 3 or 4 feet. You got to get that thing off the ground.
Much, much harder to see anywhere if you weren't on an aisle seat.
Even that, we had to keep stretching and bending to see it right. Very ridiculous. I get back, but now it's lunchtime. So you can eat at Huntington, Marshall Health Network Areas Convention Area, when you walk in without that wonderful sign behind it. It's hot dogs, and it's pretzels, and, you know, soda, and snacks like that, but overpriced. Now, if you're going to eat, there's the market right across the street, or there's the place we usually eat on the street, the pizza place. So we're like, screw that. We're just going to walk out and get some food. We have an hour until the first panel starts.
And if you're thinking, oh wait, where did they go to eat? I bet they went to go eat at Rapid Fire. Well, guess what, folks? Zim Zim is all it been.
Yep, there it is. Out of business. So, yep, there will be no Rapid Fire for us this year. The company's not out of business, but this location is. And we're not going to get into a whole story about how Huntington charges too much rent for this. That is pretty much what happened. No more Rapid Fire. So, oh, great. Now what are we going to do? Well, we're going back to the market, because the market had some cool places in it, and we went to this wonderful Mexican place called Taqueria 84. Not exactly the fun pizza where you can put all the toppings on, but at least it was some good stuff. We're just talking, going over everything as we get ready for our 1 o'clock panel that's going to be happening in about a half hour.
As you've seen from the earlier convention schedule, what we're going to be going to is the TMT panel with Rob Paulson and Renee Jacobs, best known for Raphael and April. Although they've done many other voices, these are the two that most people associate them with. This is going to begin what me and Ramses thinks is going to be our 4 panels for that day. And they also did something a little differently here, is they weren't making us leave like down at the Lexington.
Because the crowd for these panels is so much less. Lexington, they do get a big crowd. Lexington gets a gigantic crowd. They won't throw you out because these rooms don't fill up, except for one panel. It's not this panel, by the way. A later panel will fill up.
Now, this and many other conventions like to give their VIPs something, and that is usually the first 2 rows of seating, so you can easily see guests. Well, as you can see in 2022, right here, it says VIP. Yeah, wasn't marked that way this time.
No, it definitely was not. But it's still included in the ticket price, by the way. So if you buy the VIP this year, 2-day admission, you get an early entry. So you can get to the vendors 1 hour before everybody else. Get the t-shirt. It's a cheap t-shirt, but it's still cool. It has the logo. Special VIP seating. They still have it listed here, by the way, as that's the perk of buying the VIP. but they were not enforcing it at all. They had no signage. The host didn't even care, and we liked Joe a lot, but he didn't care less where you said.
Oh, this was absolutely amazing. He comes in, he warms up the crowd. He is awesome in the fact that he even says, you know, I hate it when hosts get up here and they start talking and won't let anybody ask questions.
We're going to call out people that do that too. And again, it makes me wonder if Joe is watching our reviews, and hopefully you are, Joe, because we always praise you. Unless you're drunk and hungover, then we don't praise you. And I love hosts that get it. Not about you. It is about the fans. We're paying to be here. We're not paying to see you be Johnny Carson. So thank you, Joe. And Joe called out any host that does it.
So after Joe warms up the crowd, sets up both Rob Paulson and Renee Jacobs. As they come in, there's all kinds of clapping. The problem is, maybe it's because they're a little bit older now, but they were very slow to warm up during this interview.
They're a lot older now than when they were there 30 years ago. So yeah, they're going to be a little slower, a little more laid back, a little more, the memory has to get going. But thank goodness Joe took control of this, because he did ask him some warm-up questions. So he warmed them up with, tell us about some other stuff. And she talked about, oh, I've always done the squeaky voices and the cute voices. Nice when I finally got to do April, and it's amazing. That's what I got known for, playing a human character rather than an animal or a flower or a fairy or a creature. So she was very appreciative of that. And Rob has done many voices. You might not realize it, but he was on Neutron and Fairly Odd Parents. Those are the other two. And of course, he's Pinky from Pinky and the Brain, and he was talking a little bit about
and Donatello for the 2012. I mean, he's done a lot. The thing is, once they started talking, it started with Renee answering most of the questions, then Rob's like, hold my beer and watch this. And he just suddenly started going with it. He would do voices from his multiple characters. He was getting into it. And by the end, he was like up on his feet. He was into it. So it started slow, but it got there. And when it got there, the crowd was laughing. They were clapping. And they also did something that we dislike. Because one of the most popular questions you're going to ask, and I've asked this many times myself, what was your favorite character / favorite episode that you've ever done? And they always had everything off of going, oh, we've never had a bad one. We love everything we do because it's work, and we love having work. It sounded exactly like John Delancey.
Yeah, we're going to call it the John Delancey every time this happens now, because John Delancey is the first time we experienced it, which is, oh, everything is great. Oh, I don't hate anything. Oh, it's all wonderful. Well, yeah, Renee and Rob were doing that, and it's annoying, but I get it. Hollywood is a very scary place now. We're not going to be political. We don't do that here in Investor Retro Reviews. You cannot say anything that's going to be used against you. You can't badmouth anything. You can't even make a joke without worry that, oh, someone's going to call me out on that. And Renee and Rob were playing that for all it's worth. So you ask him, oh, what was your favorite turtle? And Renee's like, no. They're like brothers to me. I couldn't pick one. No. Rob's like, oh, I played Raphael, I played Donatello, I just want to play all of them. I hate when celebrities can't just have fun with it. Like, the Power Ranger actors will always be right away, yeah, I love this and I love that. Please don't go to conventions if you're going to do the John Delancey. We don't want to hear about you getting your wallets and being happy that you have work. I don't care.
Well, they also deflected a lot. And these weren't questions that were political or anything. No, they weren't deflecting that. We're deflecting anything to talk about their work in the past or what they thought. It was just very bland, but it was very fun. And I would definitely go see again because they were very fun to watch and listen to when they actually talked about it and let loose.
So they would be asked about the current stuff. And you know they're not going to be watching the new stuff because why should they? They call themselves actors a lot. And I guess they are. Voice actors are actors. I do agree with that. If an actor is not involved with something, you are not going to pay attention to it. So yes, they were the actors for the original Turtles, and Rob did one of the later series, but does that mean you're going to watch every single thing related to Turtles? No, this is work to them, and they made it very clear this is work to them. So they had no idea about the new stuff, and we don't either. We're a retro show. We don't follow the new stuff either. So they would just deflect it. Yeah, that stuff's fun. Let's talk about something I know. They did the deflection more than a few times. Yeah, that's great stuff, and I'm glad you like it. Now we'll talk about something I know. They did it every time, but we caught on it because we've done enough of these panels to know when they're doing the deflections. But the crowd was into it. They were excited. Renee sort of got a little tired towards the end. Unfortunately, she wasn't having it. She was getting uncomfortable on the seat, and Rob started to get more energetic as it went on. So the reverse reaction happened.
Now it's time for us to show you what we're talking about.
Here's one of the beginning moments with Renee and Rob. We'll be back in a second.
If you guys ever are nice enough to do what you've done for us just today, and you stand in line and you have an autograph or you just want to say hello, and the actor is dismissive, oh yeah, I know, you want to be able to say that, then you know what, shame on you. Because I get it, if some people don't want to be at these events. Not everybody is so extroverted, they aren't comfortable with this. great. Then don't show up. But if somebody is nice enough to fly you here, often with your significant other, put you in a nice hotel, everybody's sweet, you get in the back door, and then they give you food. Then, if you're here, then be here. And forgive me, but I feel very strongly about that. We asked for this.
Yeah, I agree, but...
And I have to tell you that, unfortunately, the rest of our cast couldn't be here, but we are all so indebted to you and grateful and thankful, and we all love being together. There isn't one person that I know of that would treat you guys rude.
Yeah.
And you know, there's a new if you have, you know, not everybody has great days, right? You get up, you have a bad day, but there's a new kind of catchphrase that I've been using, and it's really helped in a lot of ways. It's instead of, oh, I have to go grocery shopping, or oh, I have to go whatever, gotta go to work, whatever. I say, I get to go. And sometimes you meet somebody on this, you know, you talk to somebody on the phone and they're just not very nice. And I keep saying, I get to talk to this idiot. But really, the positive attitude, anybody, and like Rob said, anybody who you come to a Comic-Con and you feel like you just didn't get the love, let the producers know. There's plenty of us who will be happy to take their place.
All right, so there you go. Wasn't that great? So you could see the crowd was into it. They were having fun. A little soft-spoken, but remember, this is the first panel of the day. We have to warm things up a little bit here.
And they also had that microphone there. If you see the green one with the tape on it, that thing was giving them problems the entire day.
Yeah, they never got it right. They never fixed it. And that's another complaint we're going to give. Again, you're going to see the cheapness of how they ran this convention. So besides calling us out for filming some footage as we're walking around, how about I call you guys out for... You can't afford more than 2 microphones, and you can't have them both working at the same time. And even the host is going to call you out on this. You have an audience who you can't hear anything because the air conditioner is so loud you can barely hear anyone in the audience. Yeah, I'm going to call you guys out. You want to stop us from filming? How about I call you out on the cheapness that you can't have a microphone with a stand there and 2 microphones on the stage for the people to use. So please get that better next time before you worry about people filming inside of your arena.
We're sitting there now because we have about 5-10 minutes because, you know, these things never run on time. And we're going... Why is everybody leaving except for like 10 people like us?
Where's everyone going? Lou Diamond Phillips, he's a cool guy. We're still sitting there like idiots, and this is us being stupid, but it's not our fault. Joe should have said, by the way, the Lou Diamond Phillips panel has been canceled. Sorry guys, we'll see you at 3. He didn't do that. He just walked off and left us like idiots all sitting there. There was 10 people still sitting here waiting for Lou Diamond Phillips.
And it was after the fact that we found out that he got grounded in New York and left a wonderful little post on X. Here's a clip of why he's not there.
Hey, Huntington, it's Lou Diamond Phillips. I have to tell you, I am truly disappointed. I was really looking forward to coming down there and meeting all of you this weekend. But unfortunately, it looks like Mother Nature has different plans. We are on a tornado watch throughout the night here. I'm in New York, and they've just canceled all flights Friday evening and Saturday morning. So, unfortunately, there's just no way for me to get down there. As I said, I am very sorry because I was really looking forward to this event. At any rate, have a wonderful weekend. Stay safe, stay dry, and I truly hope to see you down the road. Blessings. Mwah.
And this is the reason why I wanted to go to this convention above and beyond anything else. I wanted to meet Lou Diamond Phillips, and I wanted to get his autograph because he's been in a lot of cheesy movies that I love back from the 80s and 90s. And Lou, hopefully you'll come to another one of these, or even GalaxyCon.
You have to remember, Huntington's always going to get B or C level celebrities, and that does not matter to me. I love everyone as long as I know who they are. That's the way I look at it. The Lou Diamond Phillips, I was excited, and sadly, he was canceled out. Now, you think that, oh, well, aren't they going to get one of the other celebrities? There's a lot of other celebrities here. We had Kevin Sorbo, we had Jake the Snake, we had a lot of anime people. Oh, they'll just plunk them in. No, Comic and Toy Convention does not do that. It was just an empty block, and we asked, and that was it. We walked out, we went back onto the floor to shop around somewhere. Very disappointing.
At least at the Lexington, when they had the gumption to actually put tape over the names and put canceled on it down on the posters.
Oh, that would have been nice, but they didn't have that here. They cut the budget, remember? So there's no sign showing all the guests. GalaxyCon sure has it. They have TVs in front of everyone that keeps updating when guests are removed or updated or whatever. Hey, you want to play with the big boys, Inner Geek? You better put a paper sign that used to show the guest with you crossing it out. You can't even do that anymore. That's very disappointing.
Yeah, you did do it in the past. But that being said, we came back always 10 minutes before panel, sometimes 15, because, like we said, don't usually show up 15 minutes because it usually runs over. So you show up 10 minutes, and this room now is completely packed with the next panel,
yeah.
Helluva Boss.
And you might be thinking, wow, that's amazing, that's great. How'd they get them? How'd they get them? They're YouTube phenomena. We're not talking about big celebrities here. They're not millionaires. So yes, it is cool that they got someone that's really pop culture, really popular right now, really hot on the internet. But these guys are living day to day trying to get these episodes done. No company's picking up, which I'm surprised. Bryce Pickham is the guy who's like sort of the brains behind it. They mentioned Viv, who's really the brains behind it, and she's the one that's made all this stuff. Bryce writes for her. She wasn't there, sadly. I wish Viv was there because I would have loved to hear her side of everything. But they're not super, super big. They're super, super popular. So it would be like having a YouTube celebrity on the stage. Is pretty much how I took it, because all they did was pretty much milk and hawk the Helluva Boss show. So this room was packed with very young people.
And they're all in cosplay, and most of it was actually really well done. And when they get up there, it is a huge round of applause, standing ovation. The three people from the show they are interviewing are Erica Lindbeck, Luna, Bryce Pinkham, who does Stolas, and Brandon Rogers does Blitzo. Now, the big problem with all this is that everybody loves the show so much, they keep asking about future episodes, and they keep making the joke about, oh, where's that sniper at? Because they can't talk about it, and it got to the point that even Brandon Rogers is like, all right, how many more of you are going to ask us about, future episodes? When they didn't ask about the futures of the show, these three love to talk about each of their characters. Brandon Rogers was like the goofball. He was the most interesting person of this panel, by the way. He was making all of these jokes about loving Blitzo and just how much of a fun character he was. You know what? We actually got probably one of the best rants. Let's go ahead and play that real quick.
There's a lot of similarities. She let me basically make a cartoon version of myself. I think the only difference is that he's murderous and likes horses. But beyond that, yeah, she just gave me. You don't like horses? Oh my god. I need to. Everyone's giving me horses. And I go home and I have a closet filling up with different sized horses with different sized dicks. And the horse, Blitz's horse obsession, if you notice, that was not established through dialogue, because that would mean that I would have had to pre-fruit it before it went to animation. No, some animator named Sam snuck that in there, because she's obsessed with horses, so every time he holds up a horse, because horse print is background. I didn't write that, that wasn't in the script. An animator allowed my character to have an obsession I didn't agree on, and now I get horses thrown at me, and I get people asking me to draw horses, and I get people asking me. You know what I do with those horses? I throw them at Sam when I get back home.
I'm not a fan of the show. I like the spin-off or the prequel or however you want, the other connected show called Has Been Hotel. I do actually like that. I don't like that it was cut short. I'm not here to review it. I do like that show better than Helluva Boss. I don't like how much they curse, though. There was a lot of kids here, and I am that person. They were cursing a lot. They were throwing the bombs all over the place, and I didn't think it was appropriate. And that's Ramses' rant. You can say boo his Ramses. I don't care. I will always call out people. When you're in a public forum like that, when you have a lot of minors, you should not be cursing every other word.
To have the sense, like the Rock and Roll Express did when we saw them, to go, hey, is there any kids around, before they curse?
I think they love the show. They love promoting it, but the fans just want to hear about what's going to happen next, and this is on them for not clearly stating, by the way, we know you guys want to hear what's happening next. We don't know either, and that is the truth. Brandon, it works on the writing, so Brandon is the one that would tell you, but he wasn't telling you anything, so stop asking. They should have made this a little more clear that, hey, we know you guys want to know what happens next. We can't tell you. Just realize that. But fans didn't care, and they had a lot of strange questions, and this is fans. When we have the Generation X's like us, we ask more, oh, we want to hear your thoughts on this and that. That's not the type of questions an 18 or 19-year-old's going to ask. They're going to ask, oh, who's going to ship with who? And, oh, who would you like to play as if you could? Or what's your thoughts on this character's emotion to this? Like, they ask very weird questions, Even Brandon, Bryce, and Erica were having trouble answering something. They are weird questions. It's kind of hard to answer, like, these heartthrob questions that these fans have these visions and imagination of what they want to happen. So it was a very awkward panel, because they're all excited and they all want to answer everything, but there's nothing really to answer. So what happened is they started to promote the Halloween episode that's coming. They're like, what's your favorite episode of all time? The Halloween episode that's coming soon this October. You don't want to miss it. It's amazing. Like, they went right into plug mode, and all it became was them plugging this Halloween episode nonstop as answering every questions and making the sniper's gonna get them, but they'll turn their heads slightly joke. They made that a few times too. And it's not their fault. I think Brandon, Bryce, and Erica are very talented. I really think their voice work excels and it's amazing, but they're limited on what they can talk about here, so they went into promotion mode, and that's when it started to go downhill.
One of the better things about this panel is they didn't care. They told you what they thought about their favorite episodes, their worst ones, and their characters. So, yep, I hated this, I love that, and it was refreshing. I mean, I did like that.
So the crowd was eating it up, but this was more of a popularity contest. You know, like, who's the most popular out of the Turtles voice actors, the Helluva Boss, or the one that's going to come next? Yeah, these three were very clearly, but only because they're an internet phenomenon. And we here on Vespor Director Reviews do not rank by popularity, we rank by content and quality. And I would say this was definitely not on the same level as Rob and Renee, only because Rob and Renee are coming from a past looking back perspective. These three are coming back from a currently going on phenomenon. The only thing they have going for them is promoting what's going to continue the train going. So it was a very different feel to it. There was the best part of this was when someone asked a question, and it was great. They really focused on this. I'm in acting now, and I want to do what you guys do. What advice do you have for me? And it was great. They took this so seriously. They said, voice acting's not just putting on voices. Anyone can put on a voice and make funny sounds. You got to be an actor, and it's true. Others have said this. Kevin Conroy, may he rest in peace, even he said being an actor, a real actor, was why he was such a good voice actor. And Brandon, Bryce, and Erica pretty much backed that up. Yeah, you got to be an actor when you're doing this. You got to get into the visions of who you're playing and acting it as, because in animated form, it's going to be acting. So pretty much their advice was acting. You got to be a good actor before you can even be a voice actor. You can take all the voice lessons you want, you got to be an actor and get into the role, and you're going to have a lot of pitfalls. You're going to have a lot of obstacles in your way. You got to just keep going and going and going until it happens. It's going to be a long, long journey, and eventually it'll happen. But you got to realize where you came from and how many obstacles you had to get through to get to this.
It was a good panel. People were clapping and cheering, and they were actually interacting with the audience. It was wonderful.
Yeah, it was fun. It's just, I wish they weren't just looking to promote and they weren't cursing every other word. Otherwise, I think they would have been fun. But it fell short because all the questions were stuff they couldn't answer, and all their speaking was, look how edgy we are. It was like, all right, that's getting old fast. And then it was sniper jokes the whole time. So they were sort of short-sighted here. They had more energy than any of the other guests we saw this day, but they had no focus and direction.
So, that being said, it ended with standing ovation. And this time we stood and we're like, well, is James Marsters going to get canceled? You know, James Marsters, the guy that played Spike in Buffy, his breakout role. And nope, he came in. He was a little bit late, but that was fine because they have to get them away from their table, and most of the people at the tables, when they're signing autographs, want to get that last 2 or 3 in.
So James Marsters is great. He was a lot better than I thought. Again, surprisingly, Ramsis did not watch Buffy the Vampire Slayer. I know, boo his, but James Marsters was great. He came in, he was excited, he was happy to be here, and he had a good crowd. No, he did not have Helluva Boss crowd. We had a bigger crowd than the Turtles actors, and which was very impressive.
Which was overwhelmingly our age of people. The first thing you find out is the fact that he wanted to do, as Joe does, what else are you working on? So James Marsters goes into this big spiel about the technical side of Hollywood, because apparently he moved from in front of the screen to behind it. The first 10 to 15 minutes was him talking about, which was like, oh my god, please, not just this. I want to hear stories about what you've done. But you know what? As soon as he was done with that story, Joe was like, all right, guys, let's go to questions. And that's when this thing popped off.
All right, so James Marsters had a very interesting panel. I mean, he had a lot of interest there. And like I said, there wasn't that many kids there, but the kid asked a very great question. The same question that pretty much was asked of our previous panel was, I want to get in on this. How do I do it? And James Marsters had a very different take on this. He was like, I used to have stage fright. You know, I used to be, and it's hard to believe, yes, because I play all these villainous characters. And then he also went into something about heroes and villains, and I'll let Vespor talk about that. I'm an actor, you got to overcome everything your body is telling you you don't want to do. speak very clearly. You got to be able to act like an idiot, and you got to know that everyone's watching you, and you got to not be afraid of the reactions. You got to do things you're not going to be comfortable doing. You got to be like a really just overcome all of what your body is saying you don't want to do. And even then, you have to get lucky. You got to get your break. You got to get someone to notice you. You got to have long standing. So he was great. He really, really was trying to take this very seriously of how to become an actor. And I thought that was probably one of the best questions. But then he went into the whole, do you like to be a villain or a hero better? And I'll let Vespor handle that one.
This is where James talks about his past, where he was the troubled kid, and that's why he was able to play the villains a lot better. But this is where the nuance comes into this, because he says, if you're playing a good guy, there's so much stuff that goes into being a good guy. You have to worry about this, you have to worry about that, you have to run a lot. He had like a checklist, I wish I could remember, of all the things you had to worry about being a good guy. He says, when you're playing a villain, you just play, I don't care. And he just is like, I cross my arms over my chest, look at you like you're dirt. And then when it's time, I either jump out and beat you up, or I get killed. There's no in between. It's one or the other.
And even his kid was making jokes. James was like, hey, son, I got the biggest part. I got it. And then the son's like, Dad, do you win in the end? Well, no, I'm the villain. Yeah, Dad, that's nice. So that was a running joke he always had with his son, that he always got these big parts, but it was always as the villain. And the villain, as you know, in America, always loses.
And for those of you wondering, yes, James said he absolutely loved it when Spike was evil Spike and not good Spike.
But my favorite episode of Buffy would be The Body. I wasn't in that one, but I think that it proved what a strong show Buffy was, dramatically speaking, and proved that you didn't actually need vampires. You didn't. You didn't need stunts, you didn't need special effects, you didn't even need music. You could just do a straight drama about a young woman who's losing her mother. And it holds up. And I thought that was probably the most impressive episode of the whole thing. I'm also very fond of the musical. Primarily because I think that the theme of Buffy is don't give up. The world is challenging, it's not perfect, there's evil out there, it hurts, but it's worth it, so keep going, you know, and by the way, try to help out, you know, like Buffy would.
After he finished, he got probably the most sincere applause that you'd ever heard, because people loved him. He was by far, in my opinion, absolute best guest speaker there was that day. He had everything. Once he got past that initial question, which you could see Joe was like, oh man, maybe I shouldn't have asked that.
Crowd never died down. Yeah, it was great. We gave standing ovations to start and end it. The crowd was clapping and going wild, and James was on his mark. He was eating this up. He was so perfect. He answered everything. He was so well spoken. He had perfect memory. He was talking about stories. James Marsters brought his A game, and then we all left with such a smile on our face at about 4:45.
After we did that, we made some last minute purchases because we were worn out from the day. And I decided, you know what? Since Lou Diamond Phillips isn't here, I'm going to go ahead and get an autograph. Now I had to choose between the two. Jake the Snake Roberts and Kevin Sorbo. I chose to go with Kevin Sorbo because he was a big part of my childhood when he was Hercules back in the day. I got him. He was very humble, very kind, and I highly recommend talk to Kevin Sorbo because he wasn't afraid to answer questions. The only funny bit about this is when me and Ramses went to go get his autograph, there was no line. We looked away for like 2 minutes, and there was a line around the block.
Yeah, it's like, wow, Ramsey got very lucky, because we were like, oh, he'll get Kevin Sorbo. We're like, yeah, why not Kevin Sorbo? And he was originally priced $60 is a very good deal. If you can get a $60 autograph for a big celebrity, you're doing well. His favorite role, of course, is Hercules. Like, you would think he was in all these other great things. He was in Andromeda, Crawl the Conqueror, and so many other shows. He was like, hey, how can I not like the role that started all for me? And that was brilliant. So he said he liked Hercules best, and I believe him. Believe me, I believe him. Now, no, Kevin Sorbo was not too proud or too egotistical. He was very humbled and loved that he was Hercules, and that will always be the role he appreciates and the fans with it. So that was great, and that's more of the reason why I wish Kevin Sorbo was doing a panel. I would have loved to hear what he had to say. I'll say a good bulk of the guests at GalaxyCon actually do panels as well, so you're usually going to get a pretty good panel of the guests that are there. Huntington and Lexington is very limited. That's why the schedule is so important, and we stressed at the beginning. You don't know which of the 16 people are going to do a panel. Half the people do a panel. There's 8 panels, 16 people there, not including comic people. That'd be about 25 people there. Only 8 panels happen. Some have multiple people in them, so they fill it that way. You need that schedule, very important. But sadly, Jake and Kevin didn't do panels. Maybe in the future.
That being said, we left the Comic-Con, and there was only 2 things left to do, which was the costume contest in the Pullman Square at 6, and then DJ Lance Rock in Pullman Square at 8.
DJ Lance Rock, which I didn't realize because I never watched the show, was Yo Gabba Gabba, the famous Nickelodeon show for kids in the 90s. So yeah, he was a big deal. And nothing else besides what we mentioned. That was it. They reduced the schedule.
Yeah, they definitely reduced the schedule, especially on to this day and on Sunday. And then, after we decided all that, we could have stayed for the
costume contest, which Joe kept promoting, by the way, because they're worried about low turnout. Their schedule's been reduced so much. I think it's become vendors and Q&A, and that's all now that they really are providing us. So once the last panel with James Marsters ends, you're going to leave. But they're worried about that because they're trying to say, oh, no, we still have stuff going on. You got to do the costume contest. And Joe at every single panel was pushing costume contest, and you know that he was told to do this.
Absolutely, and that's because they did take out things from their schedule. They should have at least found something else to fill up that last hour. They needed something at 5 to do, so they can go from 5 to 6 to the costume contest at the very least.
So we had some good costumes, but every time Joe asked one of these people, are you going to be in the costume contest? They were like, no. Like, oh, it's going to be so much fun. Someone can buy me a drink there. That was his like tagline. He was trying to motivate people. I can only imagine, if any of you guys went to the costume contest, let us know how many people actually showed up to this. I'm expecting a very low turnout. At 6 p.m. in Pullman Square, people are not interested in this. We did want to support Huntington, so we wanted to eat our dinner there before we left. It wasn't going to be at the market this time. We wanted to pick something else. And we're always showing you the picture of this huge area in Pullman Square.
Yep, and so we ate at Roosters, which is right next to their movie theater. And the reason I usually don't eat at Roosters when I'm there is because there's usually much better food there.
So what did we do? We actually looked at the menu. I know you guys are probably laughing. Why didn't you? We never looked at the menu. It's very silly of us. The menu is very vast and wide. It has a great array of food. Pizzas, wings, burgers, sandwiches, Mexican, appetizers. They got a little bit of everything. Very big menu.
And we would actually highly recommend Roosters if you're in the area.
So that was our Saturday experience. I enjoyed it. I realized it was cut back. I realized it wasn't as great as it could have been. But for Huntington, a very local convention, I think they did an okay job. And we'll review it at the end. But now we have to decide, are we coming back for Sunday? That was the big decision me and Vespor had to make.
I do want to point something out to you. After my autograph with Kevin Sorbo, both me and Ramses noticed something. If you notice, at the end was where Ray Park was supposed to be. Well, they took down his sign altogether there right before we left.
Yeah, we're like, hey, that's weird. What's going on? Ray Park, he's supposed to be Sunday.
That's right. And you know what? We found out Ray Park deleted all of his social media and just basically told the world to beep off.
I wasn't like, oh, Ray Park, but yes, you want to see people that work in Star Wars because it's cool. You're part of history. Whether you like Episode 1 or not, I don't love it, but it's still history. Darth Maul was one of the most famous characters from the movie, like him or hate him, and he didn't say much, but he was very cool. Yeah, you're going to want to see him. Now, all of a sudden, he's gone. That was one of the reasons why we didn't come back. So now we're left with 3 Q&A panels for Sunday, and the other one was DJ Lance Rock, and again, he's from Yo Gabba Gabba. Well, I didn't see an episode of it. It would mean absolutely nothing to me seeing this guy talk about a kid's show.
Right. And they had another panel at 12, which was Spy Family. It's an anime. It's a fun one. Problem is, like DJ Lance Rock and Spy Family, those are things we see flush out a day. And the main person we wanted to see was at 2 o'clock, which was Ray Park. There was another panel at 1, which was the American Gladiators, focusing solely on Nitro and Ice, Dan Clark and Lori Fetrick to be exact. And the problem with that one is that's like a filler panel for them. Now, I loved watching the American Gladiators. Problem is you look at their IMDb's and they're going to talk about American Gladiators and probably not much else. So both me and Ramses agreed without Ray Park there was really no reason come back for Sunday.
Went to all the vendors, we bought everything. We met Kevin Sorbo. Jake we're gonna meet at another time, and that was it. The reason we would have come back is maybe get James Marsters' autograph and see the American Gladiators in a Q&A. Is that enough reason to go through the whole process of coming back to convention? And we said no, absolutely is not enough reason, because even though parking is free on Sunday in Huntington, and good for you guys for at least keeping that free, it's still a trip. You still gotta go through everything. We're not gonna buy anything else. We're not getting any more autographs. So pretty much to see the American Gladiators, Nitro and Ice would be the only real reason we are going back for this convention on Sunday.
And unfortunately, that wasn't enough of a reason.
This is going to be part of our review here, which we're about to get to after we review the panels. They dumbed things down too much here. The quality is not where it should be. It's still a good convention, but this Sunday is a very, very light schedule. This is not really worthy of, wow, we're going to charge you for 2 days. This is a very light, no-frills Sunday lineup.
And they could have easily fixed it, even with their reduced schedule, by doing this. Move the Hell of a Boss panel to Sunday and like Spy Family to the other day, because Saturday was so powerful, there was no reason to come back Sunday.
Very poorly done. So sorry folks, we didn't go to Sunday. And you know me, Ramsis here, I hate giving you incomplete stuff. When I play games, I tell Vespor we have to finish it or we're not putting it up.
He is telling the truth, folks.
That's our rule. Do a convention start to finish. You do not half-fast it by giving such low quality guests on Sunday with nothing else, by the way. The only thing they have here is 4 Q&As. That's all they have programmed for their Sunday schedule. And we have the old Lexington schedule. There's a million things they have on this list of things that they had available besides Q&As. That's all out the door now. They have a photocopy paper. Here it is. I'm waving at the microphone. Of 4 Q&As on Sunday. 2 of them suck. 1 of them is and 1 was the big deal and he's not even there. That was Sunday's itinerary here. But you're a 2-day convention. You're not a 3-day convention. So Sunday has to have something. If you're going to be charging VIPs and 2-day passes, give me a reason to come on Sunday besides just seeing the vendors. And you're not. You gave no reason except to go buy more stuff and take pictures. That was the only thing you offered here for Sunday. Do better, because these conventions are losing the quality. They really are. Even the big ones like GalaxyCon, VIP is a garbage. It's garbage, and this one was not worth it either. You're all excited to go to the conventions and support it, but you get nothing for your value except being cheated, and it's getting disgusting.
So now it's time for our favorite part of the review, is rating the panelists. And you know what? We only have 3, so guess what? Even the loser is the winner in this race.
That's right. We're going to have medals for all 3. All right, so everybody's a winner. So 3 panels, 3 rankings, bronze, silver, gold. And they are close, we're going to say. It wasn't like, oh, one of them sucked or anything, but there's definitely a ranking here. There's definitely, one was definitely better than the other, and one was definitely better. So it wasn't hard to determine out of the 3 which got 3rd, 2nd, and 1st. Now, sadly, I wish we had done some on Sunday, but it was just not worth it. Who knows how American Gladiators would have done, but that would have been the only one we would have seen. So it would have been just 4 altogether. So here we go. Without further ado, the bronze medalist is going to go to the HELLUVA Boss Q&A. And I know you're all gasping, oh my god, that's the most popular, that's the biggest. Again, here on Vespor Retro Reviews, I don't do it by popularity, I do it by quality of panel. They were the 3rd quality panel. They were.
Believe it or not, they had the energy, they were willing to answer questions, but what really held this panel back were the actual guest watching the panel. Kept asking questions they literally, by law, could not answer because of their NDAs.
It's not only that, they don't want to give away the show. The fun of a show is we don't know what's going to happen and we're going to watch it. Why would you give away everything before the show happens? That ruins all fun. Like say, oh, this new movie came out, the Galaxy Riders. Oh, well, did you know that in that movie, John kills Bill in the end? Yeah, oh, it's a great scene. Oh, they didn't see it come from here. Why would I want to know that before the movie even comes out? It's the same thing with this show. Why would I want revealed the plot of what's going to happen? I want to watch the show and enjoy it. Brandon, Bryce, and Erica brought their A game. They tried, but it just was lacking a little bit. Oh, we can't talk about that. Sniper jokes, curse here. Oh, we can't do that. They had a few serious answers, which was good. Plug the Halloween episode every now and then. So it just wasn't working. Like the chemistry wasn't there. They were good. They had the energy. They were into it. They were very excited about it. The crowd was really into it. But it was just not a very informative panel. And information matters. I want to learn something. I want to hear something. I didn't learn anything.
That is why it was our bronze medal. Now, moving up to our silver medalist, our 2nd place. And if you don't know who they are, we'll tell you, and that is Renee Jacobs and Rob Paulson.
So yeah, the voice of April O'Neil, Raphael in the original series. And they were fun. They were good. They were more what I was looking into. Like, oh, I want to hear about the show. I want to hear about the thoughts on the characters. And they gave it. But the reason they're not number 1, like I said, we only had 3, and believe it or not, they're silver because they just weren't willing to like take a stand on anything. They gave us the John Delancey too much, and I do not like the John Delancey. Tell us what you like doing. Talk more about being a voice actor. They answered every question fully. Every question you asked them, they answered it fully. But they did a lot of redirecting also when they didn't know how to answer a question, and that's professional. I like when they do that, but not every answer.
Yeah, we're not asking you to be raw with us. We understand you have to keep your mouth shut on a lot of things. When you can't answer your favorite character and your least favorite episode you've ever done, there's something wrong.
Everything's great. Oh, I love everything. I'm just glad to get another paycheck. Oh, I'm available. Yeah, we get it. We get it. You want work. You need money. We get it. You wouldn't be at this convention if you didn't need money. We get it. We get it. But we don't want to hear it. I mean, that's the problem. They're still better, though, than the Hello Boss because they were able to talk about everything. They were answering questions. You know, it was like you could see they had a passion about being involved with the Turtle Show. Yes, it was always about what's our next paycheck going to be, but they still loved the fact that they had such an influence by being part of this 80s/90s show that was such a big phenomenon. So I felt the love there, but I also felt the, hey, we need a job feeling to it.
Yes, this was just a very good panel, and I highly recommend you listen to them whenever you can. Just be prepared that they may not talk about certain topics, and we're not talking about far out there topics. But that being said, very fun panel, worthy of being our silver medalist. There was just a little bit better of a presenter and panelist for our gold position, and as always, Ramses hit that drum roll. Done too. That leaves James Marsters. You are our #1 gold pick as the best panelist.
So James Marsters, very interesting actor here. He talked about Buffy, which is great. I always love when they talk about the subject, and he answered what his favorite episode is, and he answered what he liked best. He answered how to be an actor, and he answered what it was like doing other things, and he talked about the show, and he talked to fans, and he talked. It was a lot of fun what he did.
And there was no deflection on any of the questions because he didn't need to. If he'd say he couldn't talk about it, he'd say he couldn't talk about it, but he wasn't involved in anything. And this also might be because of the fact that the audience is so mature. They wanted to know about him. They wanted to know about his roles. Answered all those questions, including, forgot to mention earlier, but it was like a throwaway line, the fact that he absolutely hated playing Piccolo in Dragon Ball Evolution, but at the same time, he absolutely loved the costume for it, even though the role sucked.
He had fun with it. That's what I mean. When you realize that even you can do something bad, but so what, and it's fun, it's acting, who cares? That was the attitude he had about it, and it was very refreshing.
Yeah, he was talking about remaining humble and all that, and that was the truth about James Marsters.
Congratulations, James. You were the best panel. And I don't think that would have changed. I think if we saw the American Gladiators, you still would have been #1. Vesper, it is that wonderful time of our convention review to give your final thoughts on the Huntington Comic and Toy Convention took place from April 10th to April 11th.
So, my thoughts on this are quite as follows. If you've seen our 2022, you're going to notice that the big difference, 2022 one, was hyped to hell and back. It was, you need to come here, you need to be a part of this, enjoy this. And then when you get it in there, the vendors were terrible, but the actual panelists were great. So it was sort of the opposite in this one. Vendors were absolutely spectacular. It was a complete reversal. Plus, they weren't hyping it nearly as much as before. And one of the biggest drawbacks to the Lexington Comic and Toy Convention is want a schedule of what to expect. Don't expect to see it until almost the day of the actual convention, so you can't get around it. And we started with these, and we are very loyal, but we want to see improvement, not degrading. I'm going to give Huntington Comic and Toy Convention 2024 a 3 stars. There was less to do here. The vendors, while excellent, did not make up for the fact that clearly put all of your panelists on one day that are very interesting and had nothing other to do than the panels. Where's the workshops? Where's minor panels? Where's Jim Shooter, our hero? We did not see him here. So we couldn't get to quite 3.5 on this one. If they did a few things differently, if Blue Diamond Films hadn't canceled, or if Ray Park hasn't canceled, they might have been able to get it up there to 3.5. This was by no means a poor convention. It felt like it got mired in the mud, and they also didn't try to get anybody else to speak for those that canceled. I'm certain they could have figured something out if they wanted to with some of the other guests. I'm sure some of them have been happy to talk for them. Things just felt cheap. Vendors were great. I would still recommend that if you're in this area, come on out to it. It's a wonderful experience. Ramses, what's your thought?
My thoughts are pretty similar to Vesper's, believe it or not. What's the pros? The vendors, as Vesper said, were great. They really were. I bought some 3D stuff. He got one of those music sheets. I already had all the ones I wanted from previous. So there was plenty of stuff to buy. It was really good. If you're looking just for fun, pop culture-y, fun anime, fun dice, gaming, you look at comic books, getting to buy any of that stuff, yes, Huntington is the place to go, and it's worth it just for at least one day. Go through all the vendors, and it could be Saturday, Sunday. Go through all the vendors, pick out what you want. That alone is worth the price of admission. So it's a very affordable convention. That's another thing. Now, a few downsides here. They raised the price, and of course that's the way of the world now. Raise the price and offer less. You raised it up about $5, $7 since we went last time, and now you're going to have less there. So you removed all the stuff that made it glitzy and glamorous and nice. You give us a cheap photocopy paper with the schedule that you only release 2 days before. You want everyone to do everything on their own with an app or something. Like, you have older people here. You have people in Generation X and older. You want them to now change everything because you want to get cheaper and cut back costs. Well, no, that's not how it works. You can't charge more and give less and make us do the work here. That's not how it works at the convention. Especially when you're going to be giving very B and C tier celebrities to fill these panels. Like, I'm sure DJ Lance Rock is great. I have nothing bad to say about the guy, but is that a reason that you're going to go to a convention on Sunday to see the guy who did Yo Gabba Gabba talk about his experience of the show? I don't think so. If you had other stuff going on that day, I would have loved to see American Gladiators. But again, not enough. And you cut your schedule so much, it is kind of disgusting and laughable. You know, we're trying to give you guys a chance here. Like, we didn't do Lexington due to constraints. We didn't go 2024 because 2023 was such a disaster. You sort of improved things a little bit, but now you have Huntington, and you're kind of like taking it as the forgotten child, where you'll just throw Huntington's a few bones and say, here you go, and that's good enough. No, it's not good enough. But on a very subpar but acceptable convention. Now, I enjoyed what we saw here. The Turtles panel was great. And of course, James Marsters was a lot of fun. Helluva Boss I'm not into, but again, I'm into the other show, Has Been Hotel, so I appreciated the work they did. Those were fine panels. That was good, but you need to up your game. Really, you got to up your game. Get more wrestlers here. You got to get bigger celebrities, bigger 80s and 90s icon. You got to up your game here. This is not good enough if you're going to be upping the price and lowering the quality of the convention. But I am going to give it 3 stars also. Vendors are important. The feel has to be important. The crowd has to be important. The atmosphere has to be important. The vendor setup was great. There was plenty of room, plenty of vendors. It was enjoyable. Some were overpriced, but that's on the vendor. That's not on you guys. You got to up your game a little bit, though. This is not going to be good enough. We might skip Huntington from now on if it's going to be just 3 stars. We need a little better. The guests have to get better. The entertainment value has to get better. The quality has to get better. Photocopy schedules and releasing it 2 days before is not going to fly anymore, especially with raising the prices. And stop with this hill dying. You cannot videotape a guest at any time. That is ridiculous. You are the only guys that do that we know. You are going to lose a lot of people this way. I am not buying a picture for $125 just because you don't want me for 2 seconds to do a panning shot of what the atmosphere here is. We're trying to do publicity and give a feel of what is going on here, and you're being money, money, money. Well, you're cutting costs and charging more. That's money, money, money. Getting very greedy. And guess what? You're going to lose a lot of people here. We are spreading the word here. You're going to lose people if this is the hill you're going to die on every time. And it is a hill you're going to die on. You're going to die very badly. Inflation is a real thing. You are charging more, and the quality has been cut so much that you could have been a 4-star if you didn't cut the quality. You cut the quality, so now you're staying at the same level. You could have upped your game a little bit, and now you just went right back down to where you started. This is the 4th year Huntington's been held. You got to do better, or this convention is not going to survive. It was a very low turnout, and it should have been better. You got to do better than this. You got to throw money at Kevin, Sorbo, Jake. They should have both done panels. Throw money at them. Get bigger stars. You're going to have to up your game. GalaxyCon is going to wipe the floor with you, and we're going to start doing other cons too. You guys are going to be forgotten, and you're going to keep moving down. If you're happy with your little hill dying, don't take pictures, I mean, good. Die on that hill, you're going to be forgotten.
So we hope that you got a nice overview of the Huntington Comic and Toy Convention. It's a wonderful little con. We also want this con to improve. We don't want it to fall by the wayside. You don't know what's going on behind the scenes, but we do know what the end product is, and that's what we inform all of our viewers out there.
Absolutely, you can disagree with anything today, but please tell us why you disagree. Tell us what you liked, what you had fun with, or if you do agree, you're allowed to do that too. You are allowed to agree with what we said here. Give us your thoughts and opinions. What if you attended this convention? What was your feedback? And if you did both days, what's your thoughts on Sunday? That's what the comment section's for. Hopefully we'll see you here. And we'll definitely be doing more conventions, so
like, comment, subscribe, and
ring that bell. A lot more conventions coming here on Vestas Retro Reviews.